Call the meeting to order, please. Start with the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
President Ed Warner Jr.,
Here.
Secretary Treasurer Scott Horowitz,
Here.
Trustee William Pell,
Present.
Trustee Bruce Stafford,
Here.
Trustee Ann Welker. Here.
Thank you, Randy. I'd like to waive the reading of the correspondence, being that we have all gotten copies. Is a second on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Before we get going into the meeting, is there anybody from the public that would like to discuss any topics with the board at this time? If not,
Is this specific to the public hearing?
Want me to sign in?
yes, please. Yes. Randy?
Yes.
Is it 3-minute speaking time?
I'm less than that.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Will Becker. I got a certified letter from the town on the 17th of September. It didn't really address my question about me. As I am the permit holder, can I install my blind in my spot so I can hunt when the season opens?
Are you asking us as a board?
Yeah, you wrote me a letter.
Yes, I believe we've,
I think we had asked for Mr. Becker to hold off before doing anything because we have an appeal that's going to be heard.
okay.
But, you know, that's more of a courtesy that we would request that because we don't know what the outcome of the appeal would be, but it might make sense to hold off unless you have a compelling need to hunt earlier.
Well, come the end after Thanksgiving, my family's coming down to hunt, and we're heading into deadlines and timetables.
I
And we have
understand
to
that.
finish building it, and then we have to install it, and the existing blind has to be removed. So all those things are getting crunched in time.
I understand that. We do have an appeal, though, and that appeal will be scheduled, I believe, for early November, our first meeting in November.
Yeah, I think the first meeting in November, we would have clarification to your question, because at that time, you know, I could answer it better, because I'm going to have a conversation with the Bay Constables and our attorney specific to this question that you asked us.
I think in your note it says, once you meet, you have 30 days to decide, so I'll miss the start of hunting season. And then if it goes into, it looks like on the 5th, you want to meet December 5th, you'll send a notification out. I might miss even having my blind legal by the end of the year.
No, we will know by next meeting, which would be the first.
Before the next meeting?
We will know by the next meeting, which would be the first meeting in November.
November 5th.
November 5th. At that time, I could get you an answer, okay, Mr. Becker?
That would be fine. Then we can be
Yep,
current and legal, and my
Yep.
family coming down can hunt.
yep. I will meet with the Bay Constables and the rest of any of the board members that want to discuss it, and our attorney and I.
And I bumped in, and, you know, just, the last time I was here, there were a bunch of people along the creek there that had requested that the duck blind become a seasonal duck blind. And one of those people did contact me last week that they unfortunately had a previous shooting incident at their house coming from the duck blind. And I'm like, it's none of my business. I tried to call the Bay Constable to get out of the way. Who do I give that to?
I would contact the Bay Constable.
Would you authorize them to call me back?
They're supposed to call you back. If you call the police department and leave a message with the dispatcher specific to your request, they have to call you back.
They didn't. Thanks.
Am I correct? Okay. All right, we have a public hearing scheduled.
Anybody else in the public that wants to speak? Gentleman came in the back.
Is there anybody that would like to address the board before we get into the, okay, thank you. We have a public hearing scheduled to consider the change of the name of Canoe Place Road located east of Shinnecock Canal to Old Canoe Place, and changing the name of Canoe Place Road located east of Hill Station Road to Old Canoe Place Road East. I believe Trustee Horowitz has asked some questions of the county about the specifics behind what has to be done, because there were certain,
Will, you want a second to open the public hearing?
so I want a second to open the public hearing. All in favor? Aye. So Trustee Horowitz and anybody
so-
else that want to address this?
Right, so just for the board, and there's a copy to each one of you here. I have taken the initiative to make some inquiries, one of which was a question that was asked about the expense that would be incurred through the county clerk's office. And I have a letter here to follow up on our earlier conversation. The county clerk's office does not use a physical address for the purpose of maintaining property records. It says we utilize a tax map number and a meets and bounds map description when identifying property. So nothing will be required to be changed in the county clerk's office if a street address were to change. That was from their senior official examiner of titles, Suffolk County Clerk's Office. So there wouldn't be a big expense or need, obviously, at the county clerk's office. Filings at the county clerk's office are very expensive. Perhaps there would be some notations made that, the road was formerly known as Canoe Place Road is now, whatever it ends up being if that is adopted. But the question that was brought to the board was about expensive filings, that it would have to be changed, and it appears that that's not the case according to the county clerk. Okay? So that should answer that. I also made some inquiries to fire district commissioners, personnel, ambulance personnel, locally, Hampton Bays Fire Department personnel. Verbally, they did indicate that there were issues relative to finding locations, and obviously we're verbally in favor of clearing up any ambiguity. I believe they will be following that up with, written letters to the entire board for the file. So I did take the initiative to answer some of the questions that did come from the public, on the matter. Myself, as a past police officer, it was always a challenge to get a call and not have a good location or not be able to find a good physical address. So, that's a common sense situation. I know we do have some current firemen on the board as well that may want to speak to any of their personal experience relative to finding locations. This is it could possibly be a matter of life or death. I recall, in addition to my own experience being out on the road, I recall getting a telephone call back in August of 1993, which basically said that, my father was, in the ambulance, on his way to the hospital, and I said, well, yeah, that's what he does. My father's a volunteer ambulance driver. And they said, well, not this time. He's a passenger. And, I got off to Southampton Hospital, and, I got the bad news that my dad didn't make it. And, that altered my life forever. Things changed for me, on August 3rd, 1993. And, being a police officer in the past and, having lived through that, obviously they did get to my father, they knew where he lived, but, I understand that sometimes things are life or death, minutes can mean somebody's life. So the fact that this was brought to us by GIS or EMS, I think it warrants substantial consideration. I also think that the concerns of the public in terms of filings and costs and other things associated with needed attention too. I paid attention to that. But at the end of the day, my concern as a trustee is that we provide the volunteers with the best possible location address to give, the person that they're trying to render aid to or the emergency that they're trying to get to, the fastest, most expedient method to be there. So I'm interested in working through, whatever the situation is with the board and finding the best way to handle it, but I do see a high degree of merit to clear up any misunderstandings and ambiguities to give future first responders and future victims or future situations the benefit of the doubt of getting the most expedient response time.
Bill, I believe part of this road is in the Southampton Town Fire District. Have you made any inquiries within the fire department about their opinion on this?
No, I'm not.
Can you?
I will if you want me to.
I would like, because it
Okay.
is, it would be prudent of us have Hampton Bays and Southampton, because they do
Okay.
split the two areas. East of Peconic Road is Southampton and west is Hampton Bays. Bruce, do you have any concerns as far as your,
Yeah, I belong to Sag Harbor, and I've been a member for 40 years, probably a truck driver for 39 of the 4 years. And it's very imperative that we have the exact address, the first time, the correct address. And we have a few roads out in my area where we split up still because it's the same name of the road. But, 2 minutes doesn't seem like a long time, but 2 minutes could be a lifetime. And I definitely support changing the name or doing something that identifies a section exactly to the emergency operators, whether it's ambulance, police, or fire department, because they're all responding. And it could be 2 minutes, and that 2 minutes could really count. I know East Hampton had a problem a couple years ago, and they sent ambulance to the wrong address, and that gentleman is no longer with us. So I wholeheartedly believe in this for the safety of everybody.
Thank you. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to reference this public hearing?
I wanted to sit if it's.
Would you like to sit at the
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. So for the record, this happened, and I'm on crutches right in front of Town Hall in Elm Street. The car hit me, a town employee, so there's not a lot of safety anyplace, whether it takes 2 minutes or 2 seconds. I have a video because I hired a detective of the accident, and, it was a split second for me making it past his car, which I didn't. So thanks for researching in the fire and all that, and,
Could you state your name for the
sure, it's
record?
Jim Harmon. I live up in Canoe Place Road, 371 Canoe Place Road. So look, the EMS has found Dr. Duberman's house, who has passed, a local vet many times. The fire department found my house when I was out of the country, so I wasn't calling it in. And I respectfully say the drama that, your comments alluded to. Why did it take 200 years for this to come up? Why is it coming up now?
It was brought to our attention about 4 months ago by the people up in GIS, talking about roads, emergency responses, and they realized that Canoe Place Road had a continuing name that started on the west side of the canal and ended up on the east side of the canal. So they brought it to our attention, and they recommended for public safety that we're holding the public hearing to get information to possibly make a change and to do the right thing for the public.
So, and I think what you're doing is a noble thing, and my view is just a view. That's all it is. Doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean you're right, just a view. I don't know if you all have alarms in your house. I do, and I couldn't tell you what the number is, but I play it like a piano. And what will happen with the Canoe Place Road change, if it occurs, is the question's still going to come up. Which Canoe Place Road is that? I've only been coming out here since '79. I live out here permanently for the last 26 years. I'll be confused myself, and as I get older, I'll become even more confused which Canoe Place Road you mean. So when I'm calling up for the fire department, the EMS, what Canoe Place Road is it? I also don't understand what happened, because I believe, and I could be wrong, you're missing a couple of the Canoe Place Road segments?
Yes, they were not paved. They're basically paper roads, and they're unimproved roads that run through the woods with trees on them never been developed as a road.
Right, but the Canoe Place Road by the gas station over the canal that you turn left at,
Yes,
what's that going to be called?
that'll be Canoe Place Road.
So that remains Canoe Place Road?
Yes.
And you change the others?
Yes. As we work east of the canal, we try to use proper language, whether it's Canoe Place Road East or Old Canoe Place Road, because there's a section of Canoe Place Road that is behind the Hampton Maid that people refer as to Old Canoe Place Road. Really, it's Canoe Place Road.
Yeah, there's, between my house and there's the canal, I think there's at least 3 segments, and then there's one by Hill Station Road too,
Yes.
behind the Greek Estate. And then there's one over the bridge as well. So I think you might have 5 segments that are broken up.
Yes, it's segmented.
So you're gonna have 5 different names, or you're gonna have
They were gonna
3 different names?
3 different names. That was what the public hearing's about. You can
Are we
take-
gonna miss 2 segments as a result?
Well, those 2 segments are unimproved roads. They're basically paper roads that have no traffic on them.
So it's just paper roads, it's not, actually not even cars, not drivable?
No, it's not an improved road. It's just like it was
I know what a paper road is.
150 years ago or
Right.
200 years ago. It's just trees on it.
Okay, are we 100% sure we're not missing one Canoe Place Road back there?
I did pretty much all of the mapping of it with GIS, and this is what they came up with. There was an actual, I believe the first part of the public hearing, there was an actual GIS map of the roads from Argonne Road all the way to where it ends at the east of Hill Station Road.
So I still think if you change the names, there's still going to be confusion. There's not too many communities you go to, but you've all been to one, I know I have, where there's something east and something west, and and there's one place that had something east, not in this town, but other places in the country. It does get confusing, and I'm not sure that you don't eliminate the confusion. The other thing which I brought up last session is, is it your road? And, Doug Penny, who did some work for me a bunch of years ago, says it's not your road.
Well, it's my understanding through the Canoe Place subdivision that it was deeded to us back in the 1800s, early 1900s from the Long Island Improvement Corporation.
Correct.
Which part of Canoe Place Road?
All of it.
All of it.
Yeah, because
All the way
we
from
found
north-
it was deeded to somebody in Queens, the road in front of my house. Each segment of the road was deeded to a person.
Do you still have copies of that research?
I can't make it to my attic, which is where some of the stuff is.
I understand.
I talked to Doug Penny, and he gave his stuff to the lady attorney over here, and it's in some warehouse.
Okay.
Well, I did some research, and I looked at all those original deeds, and they were all, it was a series of deeds from the Long Island
Right.
Improvement Company, which was the entity that bought all of the Shinnecock Hills in the mid-1800s.
I believe it started at Environs Realty originally.
Yes, well, there was one deed from Environs Realty.
Did they buy it when there was no houses developed, or did they buy it when houses were developed?
There were no houses developed, but Canoe Place Road was an existing road back then as one of the main thoroughfares
Right.
of the east-west thoroughfare to get to between Southampton and Hampton Bays. And so all the existing roads from then were reserved and ownership was retained with the trustees.
There was actually a bunch of houses up there historically, and it was a bigger problem for the fire department back then because there was no water, and the houses would burn down to the ground. It used to be a seaweed farm up there as well. There is a lot of history. So I hear what you're doing, and, it's in the scheme of things, it's not a big deal. Either way, I still believe in my heart there will be confusion. When you say Canoe Place Road East and Old Canoe Place Road and Canoe Place Road, and I find it, maybe we're all remiss, everybody, that we waited till 2018 to take care of this issue. I can tell you,
It
I'm
was
sorry.
just brought to our attention, so we're trying to do the best we
I
can.
know. But as somebody who's been up there since January of '01 and have had the fire department and other people, they find the place.
Well, I think it's a public hearing process. We're in the process of gathering information to make a good decision. Before any decision is made by the board, I think we're going to sit down with the attorney and write it all down so that people like yourself who live up there can have a good understanding of what we're trying to do and how we accomplished it. And if, I think it's good for the public to understand too. And we would also reach out to each one of the fire departments as well as the EMS people to be able to give their concerns also in the document before before we make a decision on it. All
Thank you all for your service, I appreciate it.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have permits now?
Anybody else?
Ready to end the meeting.
Yeah, I know.
We gotta close it.
Yeah. Yes, I know. There's no one else, any comments on the public hearing? I'd like to close it for at least 30 days so that we can get some more information from the fire department, EMS, and any other concerned entities that have to be addressed. All right?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
That was a motion to close the hearing
Motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Public comment.
Leave it open for public comment.
for 30 days.
30 days, yep.
Second.
Second, Billy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Trustee Resolution 2018, 36, application for Richard Varela, 11 Wells Lane, Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map 900, 32104-20, body of water, Wells's Creek. We discussed this at the work session. I recommend that it's approved. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Okay, I have a couple of applications. They were discussed at work session. They are as follows. Trustee Resolution 2018-237. It's the application of Michael and Sunday Schermeyer, 4 Bayside Avenue, East Quogue, New York. Project is fully compliant with all Blue Book regulations. I recommend its approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next one is Trustee Resolution 2018-238. It's a first renewal for Howard Feinstein, 154 Red Creek Road, Hampton Bays, New York. It is a renewal application. I recommend it be renewed.
Second, all in favor?
I have an application of Virginia Joya and Mark Enwall, 26 Bay Lane, Watermill, Suffolk County Tax Map 0900-116-01-06, body of water, Calf Creek. We fully vented this at work session, and it goes with our Blue Book. I make the recommendation.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Trustees Resolution 2018-240 for the application of Lucille Bronson Revocable Trust, 442 Dune Road, Village of West Hampton Beach, Suffolk County Tax Map 905-17-1-1001, body of water, Mauritius Bay. We discussed this at work session. It is replacing a bulkhead with a return. I'd like to recommend its approval.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
I just want to point out, I think there's a typo in that Suffolk County tax map number. There's an extra 01, so we should have that amended.
Good news, Sarah.
Trustee Resolution 2018-241, application Eileen Bennett and Jacqueline Bennett, Irrevocable Trust, 7 Parlato Place, West Hampton Beach, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map 90511-2-38. This property is located on Moneybog Canal. It's a commercial property. We discussed it extensively at 2 different work sessions. There's going to be bulkheading replaced, dredging, a ramp, safety ladder. I'd like to recommend its approval.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
This is the abutting property, trustee resolution 2018-242, application of William Bennett Irrevocable Trust and Jacqueline Bennett Irrevocable Trust, 11 Parlato Place, West Hampton Beach, Suffolk County Tax Map 905-11-2-18, also on Moneybog Canal. This property, also commercial property. We discussed it extensively and worked through it at work session. I'd like to recommend its approval.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Trustee Resolution 2018-243, warrant number 19 for 2018 for the sum of $3,273.37. Randy, do you have the check register there?
I do. So we have East Coast Mines and Materials,
was $155.44. We have the New York State Industries for the disabled. That was $2,385.64. We have Riverhead Building Supply, which was $654.92. And we have Verizon Wireless, which was $77.37.
All right. The second one for the disabled New York Industries, that was the company that has been maintaining Lake Agawam, cleaning and maintaining it all
Yeah.
for the season for everybody's information. Okay. Recommend its approval. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Resolution 2018-244 authorizes the expenditure for pump-out boat, boom installation, and hydraulic winches. This is a project that we've been working on for a couple of years. Being that our barge, our work barge for the marine maintenance is in pretty poor condition, I think it's something that would be good for the marine maintenance and good for the town.
Off-season.
We can use it in the off-season. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think the barge, is not terrible. I think that
No,
the barge, but I think this becomes a lot easier and we become more efficient with this boom.
Yes.
Because this is a trailerable boat, so we'll be able to move this boat around
Yep.
the town a lot easier. Instead of it taking, a whole day to move the barge, we'd be able to do it in an hour.
yep.
So this is going to improve efficiencies in the ability to service different things. The barge, I think, wasn't terrible, but it's slow, and this will really help our maintenance department get things done, which is really what we're trying to do. And the multi-purpose is a vessel, so I think it's a good thing.
Second.
Okay, all in
Aye.
favor? Aye. Thank you. Bill, you have one up here?
Trustee Resolution 2018-245, category resolution. Department is Town Attorney. Notice to adopt and amend Article 5, Section 38 of the waterfowl. We've been talking about this for a while. You want to read all this in, or?
We've had public hearings. Is that your common practice to read the entire thing?
No.
No.
Maybe the
I just
legislative
wanna-
intent?
Yeah.
Sure.
Legislative intent.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Management of the waterfowl hunting program is a time-consuming process for the office staff of the trustees. This amendment aims to facilitate the efficiency of the program by specifying a specific time during which permit holders and applicants must submit documents as part of the permit requirements. The amendment also uses consistent terminology for the permit granted under this section, a waterfowl hunting location permit. Additional amendments to the law require a resolution of the trustees to approve a transfer of a permit. Transfer of permit is proposed in order to create a public record of permit transfers. It deletes the landowner preference provisions and specifies the date when duck blinds may or may be installed and must be removed each year.
Thank you very much. Looking for a second on it?
Wait, do you want to maybe mention the dates, just so that they're out there? It's in Part B for the waterfowl hunting location permit.
So, waterfowl hunting applicants, waterfowl hunting location permit applicants are required to present their paperwork to the trustee's office between August 1st and October 31st of each year.
Just so it's out there, that's great. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Looking for a second on it?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. Thanks, board. No. Trustee Resolution 2018-246. Notice the public hearing on revocable waterfowl hunting location permit, whereas the trustees have received requests from William Robinson to pursue Section 38D2, the rules of the regulation of management of product of the town of water, a appeal on his revocation of waterfowl hunting location permit 20415 NS-01, located on north side of Davis Creek, North City, town of Southampton. Now where there's the resolved, the trustees of freeholder of commonality of the town of Southampton hereby directs the public hearing should be held on November 5th, 2018 at 1 p.m. at the Southampton Town Hall 116 Hampton Road, Southampton, New York, to hear any and all persons either for or against said appeal be further resolved that the following notice of public hearing, the public of official newspaper and the trustees be posted the same as the official trustee website and signboard. Notice of the public hearing, please take notice of the trustees of the freehold of the Commonwealth of the Town of Southampton will hold a public hearing pursuant 38D2 rules and the regulations and the management of the Town of Water on Monday, November 5th, 2018 at 1 p.m.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. If anybody, does anybody else have anything to bring up?
You gonna open the docs?
SAG is being open today. It should be open by 3 o'clock. I think I got the weather forecast, the marine weather forecast yesterday. It looks like opening Mecox would probably be best on Wednesday and popping it on Thursday. The wind will be northwest because in between, Tuesday and Wednesday, it's going to be strong southwesterly winds and seas up to 9 feet. So it wouldn't be a good time to open it.
Close it.
So I think that's my opinion. I'm just giving everybody the information.
That makes
agree
sense.
with you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we're all good. We'll try to open it on Wednesday, cut it, and then pop it on Thursday. Thursday at 4
How
o'clock.
long does it take to drain Mecox? Because I see seas again on Saturday.
Like 48 hours. It should be 24 hours. It'll drain 18 inches if it's open.
Okay.
Good. And if it's a real strong inlet, it'll continue to drain even when there's
Okay.
fairly large seas.
Because I know that the Milk Pail Farm is super concerned about.
As
Yeah, we've
being
seen
open.
emails, we've had some conversations,
yes,
We want to have a successful opening, not a failed opening.
Yes.
I think once you get it to flow and it starts running out,
it's critical when we have a full pond not to waste the water on, because once you have an opening and it fails immediately, you might be 2 or 3 weeks or a month or even longer doing another one. So, it's not a easy science to open it. So, but I just want to make a comment about the flooding, because we did get 3 to 5 inches of rain in places on the island. So a lot of that rain that was from the sky, not from Mecox or the groundwater.
You want to mention about the CPRs, about the water paying for opening Mecox?
Yes. Well, I'll let Scott talk about the CPF, because he has been
Right.
spearheading this, and how we went to the town board and asked them for support, financial support.
So the trustees, the whole concept of fixing the finances of the trustees, I talked about a three-pronged approach to kind of rebuilding the finances of the trustees. One was increasing our enterprise revenue, which we did, which I think that, we're up maybe, 2017 to 18, I believe we were up about, $50,000 in revenue, which helps. And then in addition, it was properly utilizing the Community Preservation Fund so that we could take care of Mecox and all the surrounding properties, and hopefully we'll be able to do with SAG, and free up our enterprise revenue. The third prong we're still working on, and that's getting a tax line. And you see more and more examples of why we need our own tax line. We had a gentleman come from a trustee road. Trustee roads is another classic example. The town board, they also agreed, and we were awarded almost $300,000 over a 2-year period for the purpose of, handling Mecox. The board is also working on a Mecox management plan that's been years in the making, and I know all the members, they have copies of that, and they are reviewing that. So I want to, number one, let the public know that this was really a great step in the right direction. It then frees up enterprise revenues so that we can fix deteriorated docks and bulkheads and ramps throughout our entire township. We're slated to start paying debt service on about $600,000 worth of bonds effective January 1, 2019. The board has been working on 2 projects. One is in East Quogue, a deteriorated pier and bulkhead at Bay Avenue in East Quogue, and in addition, Baycrest, which has been snow fenced off where people can't go crabbing or snapper fishing. All this coming together and having the funds available out of the enterprise revenue will end up being a big win for everybody in the town. Even though the management plan goes to Mecox, it frees up this money that the trustees have, which is going to benefit a much bigger swath of the town. So I want to thank the town board I want to thank everybody that, voted for that referendum to allow this to even come about, because two of the prongs of our repair plan of the finances are in place. If we can get the tax line, then we'd really be getting somewhere. So I just want the public to know about that, and I want to say thank you to everybody that was involved. And I think that with the continued work on our management plan, which is very close, I think is going to be a big win for the environment, for all the industry that surrounds Mecox, farmers, for commercial fishermen, everybody that has a recreational concern in that area. I really think the board has made terrific strides and has made great progress, and I'm glad that I'm able to see that come to fruition. I'd like to thank the rest of my board for their cooperation in making this all possible as well.
So thank you, too.
Yeah, thank you, Scott, for putting effort to save us some money.
You're welcome.
One quick thing about, I did have a conversation with Kim Barber at Cornell. She wanted to know about her sanctuary that we had discussed. Now, weren't we going to have a formalized resolution on that, or just a letter of permission from the board?
I think the best thing to do would be to have a formal resolution. I guess the board also needs to discuss, are we amending the Blue Book to add these areas to our sanctuaries?
Should have put it in the Blue Book. That way it's there for a while.
That's my recommendation, that we put them,
That way if you have to enforce it for poaching.
well, and that it's
easier.
easy for the
Right.
public to find in our list of sanctuaries. So I have a draft of a notice of public hearing on that, so that we can discuss a Blue Book amendment to add those sanctuaries.
Yeah, I know they had contacted me specifically. They were looking forward to getting going in November on the project. So how would that play into the, public hearing process and everything?
This is for Cornell?
Yes,
Well, I mean, it's in a different area of Tiana.
right.
I think that, so we have the additional duck sanctuaries, right?
Yes.
Wildfowl.
Yep.
And then I think that in terms of, this would be is this our first eelgrass sanctuary?
No, there's an eelgrass sanctuary, but it hasn't been memorialized by a resolution.
You can do that.
It's in Weesick, it's in West Neck Pond. Basically, we closed it 8 years ago.
Yeah. it's on the board.
And it's been very successful, so we have not memorialized it as a resolution, just
Sure.
closing it to commercial and recreational raking in there.
Well, I think a threshold issue for the board to consider is whether or not we're creating this as a permanent sanctuary, or if it's more of a test, pilot, research type thing for Cornell. If it's something where we're experimenting and to see if the eelgrass takes and an actual sanctuary can be established,
Yeah.
that perhaps at that point we add it to the Blue Book. But in terms of, an area where we want to, what are the activities we would restrict? Obviously, no shellfishing in that little
Right.
area. We want to have a way to describe it and probably let the public know not to enter for shellfishing there. But beyond that, we could do a letter of permission or an agreement
For a year and then.
for a year and then
go to the
revisit
public.
it
For a pilot program.
Yes.
for a pilot program. And then eventually, if a sanctuary is actually established and going, then, we would want to obviously protect and keep that and add it to the Blue Book at that later
Yes.
date.
And there is one other eelgrass sanctuary in eastern Shinnecock Bay that we have given Cornell, that was about 8 years ago, too. So I'm going to have to,
Mr. Peterson's project?
no, it was before you were on the board. It's in eastern Shinnecock Bay, northwest of the boathouse. It's a 5-acre area, separate of anything that the college was doing. It was specifically for Cornell to do eelgrass planting. It was a vacant piece of bottom where there was no eelgrass, and they planted eelgrass and they put some clams there, and they actually created a eelgrass meadow there, and it's been very successful. So I think we should look at the coordinates for that too, specifically for not disturbing that also.
And then, other considerations for the board to, take are, it's one thing to have coordinates in an agreement. It's a different thing to ensure that the public understands where they
Yes.
can and cannot go.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the method of delineating that, and then who has the responsibility of installing it? Would it be trustee installed buoys? Would it be something that Cornell installs?
Also, you would need rules for Cornell too, what they can plant besides the eelgrass.
I'm sure that would be in the agreement,
Yeah, an
and we could
agreement.
look at previous
Because
agreements,
if they
I'm
put
sure they
clams in there,
have.
they might put clams in there. If it gets too thick, they want to thin them out or something. Move
Yeah.
them to another
So,
sanctuary.
once we start negotiating an agreement, the board can, contemplate and consider all those things and,
Yeah, because we had, with the college, when they did Weesick Creek and Tiana Bay, they supplied the buoys, and our maintenance staff put the buoys in
Okay.
to delineate the closed area. So I'm going to ask Cornell for 4 buoys in specific coordinates that they have, supplied us, so we know exactly where the buoys should be, and then when any issues as far as people over there clamming, fishing, or whatever goes on, the Bay Constables can enforce it through those coordinates.
sure.
All right.
I just want to follow up on the night meeting. I spoke with the person who manages the Hampton Bays Senior Center, and I have several dates for November and December that I'll put out in an email.
Okay.
And then if everyone could get back to me by tomorrow, then we could move forward with that night meeting.
Okay.
Good, thank you.
Okay?
Thank you, Ann.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else have anything else?
No, I think we've covered a lot of ground here.
We've got to discuss that meeting we just were at with the board. How would you propose to doing that?
Well, it's not something that qualifies for going into executive session, so if you'd like to share that meeting right now with the board, we could do that. I can
Okay.
summarize it, or you can share it.
You could summarize
You
it.
could?
Sure. Earlier today, we had a meeting with the Parks Department to discuss Ocean Beach events. Currently, the Parks Department has a facility use fee that is charged for beach parties, whether it's a catered event, dancing, music, concerts, barbecues. That's under Chapter 111 of the Town Code. Our Blue Book also has a requirement for any catered events that take place in the Ocean Beach area, which is the trustees' easement running from the crest of the dune to the high water mark. And so one of the things that we want to do is we want to, first and foremost, establish a protocol to make sure that both the town code and the Blue Book are being enforced. So, we didn't solve all the world's problems today, but we will be meeting again in the future to discuss, the important things of whether or not there will be an opportunity for fee sharing, but most definitely, one of the main thrusts behind the trustee Ocean Beach permit is the trustee Ocean Beach easement runs throughout the town of Southampton to portions of the beach where there aren't town-owned parking facilities, et cetera. And that permit ensures that the beach is clean after a party. It protects threatened and endangered species of birds like the piping plover. And so it's really important that we coordinate with the Parks Department so that there's also education for the public, that they understand if they go to the Parks Department and they get a permit, that their permitting journey doesn't necessarily end there if they're using a caterer, and that they should come and seek a permit from the trustees. What we found in the past is that they get their permit from the Parks Department, and then it falls through the cracks, or we inadvertently find out that an event is about to happen at the very last minute. And we were very lucky this year, we were able to get plover monitors in at the 11th hour. But it shouldn't be like that, because it's important that we protect these natural resources while they're spending their time on our beaches. And so it was a productive discussion, and we'll have another one in a couple more weeks to really see how we can achieve some of the goals of getting better public outreach, information, and having both the Blue Book and the town code enforced when it comes to people having large parties or any sort of events that could affect the quality of our beaches and also these endangered species.
Right. It was a good meeting. It was increased cooperation and communication between us and the Parks Department and the town board.
Great.
And getting it to all work out. So everybody, will be able to comment on it, and like Martha said, we're gonna have another meeting and then see what type of changes have to occur and what types of communications have to occur, so that we can maintain the integrity of the piping plover program and maintain the compliance with enforcement and so forth. So it was a first step, like she said. We didn't solve all the world's problems, but we did put a lot of things on the table in terms of what people's jurisdiction and authorities actually are, and then how do we respect that and make it work for everybody.
Well, I think Bruce really brought it to light to everybody that our trustee access roads, especially Peters Pond Road, basically are used by the Parks Department, and people apply to the Parks Department for a facility use permit and never come to the trustees, and they're specifically using our beach, in our easement. So it's something that we, the cost share amongst the town parks and the trustees need to be equal, because we need finances to, fix that road. I mean, we're looking at thousands of dollars of maintenance on it, because it's been neglected for such a long time. And it's, and the Parks Department seem to be benefiting directly from one of our, access roads. So it's not fair to us or the public. So,
Well, it was good that it came,
Yes.
to our attention. It was, and it was good that the conversation got started, and then perhaps through everybody's input, we can come to some common ground that makes sense for the resources and for all the people of the town of Southampton. So that's where we're headed.
all right.
I thought there was a lot of resistance on many different parts. But like you said, it's got to be a joint effort. We're all working for the same people, the town of Southampton. So hopefully it works out. And the resistance is, left behind. Let's just work together, get this for the benefit of the town of Southampton.
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly. All right, if no one else has anything, I'd like to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.